Onto this computer. Okay. Don't worry about the recording though. Okay. Just
No worries.
help my old brain. So I see you have an aura there. What are we got going on in the background?
Oh, that's Edentia.
It's pretty. Okay.
This is one of Gary Tong's whatchamacallits, and then I saw Pato use it as his backdrop, and I was like, I'm totally doing that. I was like, I love it.
That's cool. We're doing
Yeah.
new podcasts, so I created some like fake backgrounds so that everyone could look like they're in the same room. And
Oh,
they
nice.
end up using them, but I'm using it because I thought it was cool anyway. So this isn't the real deal either. But anyway,
That's beautiful, though. I love it.
thank you. Yeah, I said just I actually was using Mid Journey. I don't know if you've had a chance to use the AI stuff, but
Yeah.
it's really fun. I enjoyed it. So. Yeah, I just said make a big room and, different poses, so that it would look like everybody's got something different behind, but from the
Oh,
same room.
nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
anyway. So anyway, I've been using them on here, but um so okay, so first of all, you look excellent. How are you feeling?
Thank you. Well, I feel great, but it's just like, it's just one of those things where I mean, even though I feel great and everything, it's just that what in the medical industry and then what they say and then what you're learning and everything else is like it's a hot mess.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on and it's like a lot of it's unexplainable, as far as because I'm not a doctor, but all I know is that everything that I've tried, I've been loving and I've been using and I've been working. So I just don't, for me personally, I just couldn't go down that conventional route, because I've just seen what it's done to my father, my friends and my family and everyone else and everything. And it just like really made me take a whole serious look at the whole, healthcare industry, you know, and our health and stuff like that, So I'm
Yeah.
much more aware and paying attention to what's going on, but it's just crazy. It's like, what in the world? Like everything that we've been taught and everything that we've been shown is not exactly what's really out there,
You
and it takes,
find
huh?
you find that you're not trusting everything so much from the doctors, and
Definitely not.
you're finding some good like natural like health.
Yeah, because that's the whole thing. I mean, I've chosen no surgery and no chemo, no radiation, and that was 4 years ago, and a lot of people that got diagnosed, they didn't even survive within the first year, and it's because of the aggressive conventional treatments that they did. And it's like, it made me like, wait a minute, it's like, what's going on? Why are they just pressuring us to sit there and just automatically, surgery, radiation, all these different, harmful things, and then they don't tell you about like what happens if you do that, and like what happens with the side effects, and what happens to your body, and what happens to all this other stuff. And it just made me like really start to learn and understand. It's like, what are they talking about? Like detoxing. What are they talking about? Like your hormones are imbalanced. What are they talking about? Your immune system, and how it has to be like rebuilt again. And what they tell also don't tell you about is like when you start taking a lot of these other things that destroy and damage your body, like what's the recovery from that? And about your organs and your lymph nodes, because one of my friends who had passed, she was diagnosed at the same time. They took 40 of her lymph nodes. And I did not know that you need your lymph nodes, as far as the detoxing part. And then they take them away, then you're not really detoxing properly and you're getting rid of the waste. And then that causes a blockage and that causes a buildup and that causes, you know, the pain or the death later, because you need your lymph nodes. And I'm like, wow, I didn't even know that. Because if you just keep cutting them and taking them away, then that's part of your healing part. And so that was something that I learned. It's like you need all of your lymph nodes.
Well, that's like it sounds like it makes perfect sense, and you've got this glow to you, so it seems like whatever you're doing is working.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what would you say is the most important things that you've really learned besides the lymph nodes that
Oh,
you've learned over
uh,
the journey about health, like your self health
mhm. Gratitude, meditation, and prayer. Those things are like a really huge thing because it's like, I was reading, I kept following all the different signs, and then I learned about, the mother spirit. It's like, her gift of intuition is very powerful, so it's like if she's sending you signs or whatever, it's like follow those signs. So the more time that I spend in prayer and in meditation, it leads me to find out, like, to read certain articles, to join certain groups, to talk to certain healthcare professionals, to talk to other cancer survivors. Like, it just led me down this path of, like, ooh, listen to this person, listen to that person, listen to what they have to say, listen to what they have to show you. So now that there's less censorship, there's a lot more information that's actually coming out. And then I found a plethora of different um, like alternative or natural people who do alternative or natural healthcare. And it's not just, and these were people who actually had to just do it themselves. People who just had to just come from a plethora of different diseases or other things, and then they all had like one thing that was in common was like a lot of trauma, a lot of drama. They talked about, like, the bad eating and the comfort eating and all these different things, and they talked about stress, anxiety, all those things that just come into play, and that's just a part of our health. And I didn't even realize it's like that our healthcare is a very spiritual thing too. So it's like when we start to find out what the root cause is, that's how we're going to find out what that will help us with our own health issues, because it's all stemming from something, whether it's like childhood trauma or trauma that you're just going through in life. It all stems shows up one way or another, and which leads to healthcare or health and wellness.
Right.
So I'm like, wow. I was like, who knew? But the more that you learn is the more information that you get, and then it helps you. And so I'm just like learning. It's like, all right, learn to have a little bit more faith and a little bit more trust, and especially for the people who are like who 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 are dealing with immune disorders or different types of healthcare or whatever. And what have they done? So I just started talking to a lot of people. I started interviewing a lot of people and just talking to them and just learning a lot. And it's like, wow, there was a lot going on, whether in their personal life, whether in the environment that they're actually living in, and a lot of different things, because toxins aren't just, physical toxins, it's also emotional toxins, you know and all these other things that are coming on to people, that's just making them unwell, you
That
know.
makes a lot of sense. Did,
Hmm.
now, in your interviews, did you post any of those like on YouTube or I mean,
Yeah, some of them I did. Yeah, some of them I did some live stuff, and then I did some podcasts with some other people. And a lot of people have been asking me, so I'm like, I'm definitely going to give them the whole breakdown, of the things that I tried, and then I learned about, um, like they talk a lot about, um like parasites. Like, that's a thing that, yeah, parasites is a huge thing, and vegans and non-vegans, they all have them. Parasites are in the organic food. It's in, like, you have to, I didn't even realize, but deworming is an important thing. There's a lot of things that help that kill parasites. I didn't even realize about, like, foods, like matcha, like chia seeds, like pumpkin seeds and flax seeds. So I do like a lot of fun stuff like acai bowls or other stuff like that I realize are superfoods, but they're also cancer killers. And they either can't kill cancer stem cells, that I learned, or they kill parasites or other stuff. So healing can be fun and enjoyable if you know what to do.
it sounds like you are a wealth of information. And I was wondering if you have any websites or podcasts that you want to share. Why
Oh,
don't
yeah.
you type it in the chat for me, like the link to it, or and I'll make sure it gets shared when we send this out, on the newsletter on the
Oh,
21st.
yeah.
It will be permanently on the blog page of, the website. The new website should be coming out soon, but it'll be moved over if it's on the old website this month as soon as Gabriel gets it done. But I would anything you'd like to share like that about any of the things that we're going to talk about, go ahead and put the links in or send them to me later if you want to. And
Okay.
I think, that's why I asked you to come on today, because I know that, you've had so much going on and there's so much we need to catch up on and that everyone's interested in. And besides, it's time for the lady to shine in the family. This it's your turn. So and I really loved what you said about the mother spirit because I've had a little bit of my own personal experience with that. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
beginning to believe more and more that the mother spirit is the one that's really focused on our health and our in our personal relationships, helpful in that way too. So
Yeah.
I love her influence over that stuff. And so I do believe that you would, if you would go to her and say, show me the intuition, show me the way, that maybe that is specifically more her department, and maybe there's a reason why we've always referred to her as Mother Nature anyway, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Novello. I'm gonna give
Yeah,
you water really quick.
sure.
Yeah. That's like one of my African names too. Mother
Mother
of
Nature.
Earth.
You'll have to repeat that when you come back. You-
Oh yeah, it's like one of my African names, Mother of Earth or Sister of Earth.
That what they refer to you as? That's
Yeah, Novello. Yeah, that was like they gave me an African name in South Africa, and that's what it Novello means.
oh, that's cool.
Hmm.
Well, you'll have to tell me all about your trip too. I know that's been keeping you pretty busy, hasn't it?
Hmm.
And what countries in Africa are you visiting?
All right, so this year we in the documentary we went to 10 African countries, and this year we're going to four of them: Kenya, Rwanda, Uganda, Zimbabwe, and South Africa.
Okay. Is there a reason you go to certain countries? Do you have contacts there, or is it just a place you want to visit? Or tell me
Well,
about
yeah, those places are in the documentary, so I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I'm gonna put that into the chat too, or into the email. I'm gonna send you a lot of links actually.
that'll be
Um,
great.
we shot a documentary. Gar Jameson sent us to he wanted to cover the spirit of Ubuntu, and we went to 10 African countries to document it with different individuals and different organizations. And so last year we took it around the world, screening it as well too. We won 25 international awards,
So that's
and for
congratulations.
best documentary, and we screened it in 21 countries, just trying to get the message off the ground. And then so we're going back. We So it's not just the 10 projects that we started or that were already in effect. It's also like new people that we've also met and new organizations. So we have 16 projects currently happening in Africa right now. So going back there this time is going to follow up on some of the major hubs that we started to create and build, and then also some new projects like some smaller hubs that are also underneath, and just follow up on the progress of their work.
What exactly are they doing and how are you contributing with them on a daily basis, like when you're home here? How,
Yeah. So
how,
we're constantly trying to raise funds. There's a
okay,
lot going on. So there's like, we've got these widows' homes that we're building. We put a roof onto a school. We purchased like some more land. Some of them are schools, some of them are orphanages, some of them are like clinics, some of them are food security, some of them are farms, some of them are education. So there's a lot, like I need to list each and every single one of them. But some of the projects are actually listed on the website. But I think on the new website that we're creating, which is the Uplifting Ubuntu project, it will allow people to be able to support some of the projects, either with like a cow or a chicken, art supplies, or um, sanitary pads, or different things that each community actually needs, kind of like a wish list.
that sounds great. I'm sorry about the dog, but okay. So it sounds like the heifer. Are you familiar with the heifer program that gives
Mhm.
a little flock of chicks or a goat or a cow sometimes? So is that a project that is like working with you over there or?
But
Not
we're creating our own heifer project,
okay.
so that's why
Gotcha.
it's called the Uplifting Ubuntu Project. But
Okay.
it's basically the exact same thing of the heifer. Mhm.
That's great. So
Yeah.
now you talked about making homes for widows, especially, and of course the orphans, but especially
Mhm.
pulled that out of the list that you mentioned. I can't even imagine how difficult it is for a widow to be
Yeah.
alone.
Because the patriarchy system in Africa is still, it's like, you know, the way that they have it, it's like, women, in some areas or some families, they still can't hold property or they can't, hold titles or deeds or whatever else. And so if something happens to the husband, then these women are basically left destitute, so it's really hard for them to like be able to carry on. So I noticed that between like in Kenya and Uganda, like working with widows is just as important as working with the children,
It
you
is.
know. Yeah, because they for them to like and to see them to be able to start a new life again, because they were just like destitute to just having that one meal a day, and and then just working the entire day just to get that one meal. And it's like, there's not much hope, but this one project that we're creating, it allows them to come together in a community so they can grow older together. And some of these widows, they're not like older women. Some of them are very, very young women, that just like, that's not the end of their life, they should be able to at least like have something to look forward to, so I love the project, that they can come together, they can grow together, they can have a family and be able to support each other.
If they each do something a little different, then they each contribute something maybe needed to the whole
Hmm.
group. Is there a plan like to coordinate?
Yeah, to grow. And said, yeah, and growing food is like a big thing, especially in Africa, because a lot of food was actually being imported into Africa. And then since they had cut off the aid, like the USA aid that was being funded into Africa, a lot of them are left without the food. And it's like, well, there's no turnaround, between now from the time that they cut off the aid and to actually start growing. So now that's like even more, of an issue that we get the food security going, you know.
So you've seen from your own experience that aid was actually reaching people, food was actually getting through the system and reaching the people that needed it in certain.
Yeah, it's like, it's kind of like a double sword, So one, it does reach some of the people, but the amount of corruption in between, it's like, and the red tape and stuff like that. A lot of these organizations were really just kind of funding themselves, So some people would get funded and help, but it's like 90% of the money didn't actually go to the people, only a small percentage. That's why I think the Ubuntu uplifting project is even better, and self-sustainability, because I started talking to them. I'm like, listen, you can't just be on a handout forever. You're gonna have to, at some point, like what would happen if me and Pato are gone? How are you gonna continue to sustain it and empower yourselves? That's why I believe in empowerment. You know, like if we grow food, you teach the next person how to grow food, and then you're feeding other people. It's not just feeding yourself, but you're feeding yourself, the community, and others. That's how I like to see it.
And I think a lot of people would really be on board with helping if they felt sure that the help was getting to the people they're trying to help.
Mhm.
Corruption is, it's a huge problem all
It
over.
is a huge problem, at least out of all of our projects, because we fund so many of them. And then like 100% of the funds go, anything that people send us goes directly towards the people. And then we're also contributing on top of that. Pato, the way that he does it is like he doesn't have a savings account. It all goes towards,
That's,
paying it forward and helping somebody else or contributing into that project, you
that's,
know.
so when
I'm
you,
going to give you our Substack too. Um, with our newsletter as well, so it kind of shows you like all the different projects that we have going on and each one, and then you kind of get like a heartfelt story to it, you
that's
know.
awesome. I haven't been spending much time on Facebook. at,
Mhm.
lately. I was like deep platform for a couple of years, honestly, but so I kind of lost touch with everything that has been going on, and that's why part of the reason why I
Mhm.
wanted to touch base with you and find out, how you're doing, what you're up to. And then when I got your email that had all the free music and then the video,
Mhm.
and I saw that you won awards and you've been
Mhm.
traveling, and I thought, it would be great to hear you tell all about your visit. And okay, so what did you enjoy most about going over there, and and just tell me more. What did you love about
The love, I mean, like there's so much love with the children and with the people. Like they don't experience problems like how we experience them over here. They're dealing with like deep materialistic issues, whereas our issues aren't necessarily the same. Ours is probably a lot more psychological and a lot more mental. So when you say you've been off of Facebook, even though I'm still on it, I prefer using Substack, because I'm starting to find a lot more people in alignment and
it?
of different issues, and then we can come together better. The divisiveness and the division on Facebook has gotten so bad.
I think
So bad. And then I think that's probably like some of the problems that people are facing in this country. But in Africa, their issue is just like, where they're going to get their next meal and other things like that. That's what they're really kind of focused on. So they're not looking at the more divisive problems because they have to like we got to find a way to come together and live together. So they're more focused on that, and then their attitudes are just a lot different. I mean, they're grateful for so many things that we just take for granted. Just the clean water part is a hard issue. I mean, the water is so filthy and so contaminated and so dirty. It's unfathomable, for people to sit there and think about drinking that water or cooking with it or bathing with it or anything else. But um they just kind of just like they can find happiness in anything and everything, so and they'll make a song about it and they'll dance about it, and then they'll just show each other a lot of love. So I think that's one of the things that I really just love about going into Africa, because there's just a lot of love, and then they find a ways to love each other, in a lot of different creative ways.
and I guess they love your music then, right?
Mhm. And they have a lot of creative music too. So when we go in August, we're gonna actually be doing like a music festival, like an Ubuntu Day. So we have like our music, some of the girls' music from Grace Villa in the Sanctuary, and then Machiavelli Youth Center, where they have some dancers and some artists and some painters and everything else like that. So and then they'll be coming into it, and then one more singer, I believe. So it'll be a full day of arts and music.
That sounds great.
I'm bringing the community together and then teaching them about permaculture as well too, because that's like food security is going to be a big issue, all over the world anyway.
Well, in the places where you visited, what is the reason behind the food shortage? Would you say, is it just lack of resources to,
Lack of resources is drought. Like I said, the when it came to the U.S. aid came coming in, I had no ideas. Like this was really a lot to do with colonialism, because there's no reason why it's like why is food being imported into Africa when Africa has sun all year round? They can grow food all year round. So it was really destabilizing a lot of the areas and keeping, so while they were like feeding them, they were taking away their resources at the same time and keeping them in poverty. They shouldn't even be in poverty. So the West was taking a lot of their minerals, a lot of the other stuff, and then saying, we're going to give you aid in exchange, when it was really just a really bad deal. So I think that now that the aid is now stopped and some of the other African countries are looking, they're like, wait a second, if they're not giving us this anymore, then maybe we shouldn't give them all of that they're taking, because they should be able to if some of the other African countries are like, if we start growing and feeding our own countries and some of the neighboring countries, then we might be stand in a better economic position.
Right.
So
To market
I
what
think
they
that's, yeah.
got, what they have.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So that's starting to like like eye open, like it's a big eye opener. It's like, wait a minute, all right, so we can grow our own food. And if we do that, then we can sell food to the outside as well. That should bring in some more money. But then you're just dealing with a lot of corrupt politicians, that in some of the governments. So some of the governments are like, all right, are we really thinking about the people? And then some of them, they aren't. And that's why Ubuntu is where the people really have to really start looking after each other. So if you're looking at like food security where a lot of farmers are coming together, that's a win-win situation. The communities or the Ubuntu hubs where the widows come together, they'll be able to like support each other where they're not necessarily relying so much on the government. And the government will probably support a lot more of these programs because then they don't have to be like on a welfare system of having to be handing out, supplies to people. If they just give them a little bit, then they can actually, the people will be able to take care of themselves much better.
And they feel good about that as well.
Hmm.
Right.
Absolutely,
There's,
absolutely.
there's,
So water and drought is like a big issue, so education, because they're charging money for school education. In some African countries like Burkina Faso, they're just actually offering free education for the students. So most parents, it's like they're already in debt because they're just having to pay for the schools, for the school children. And then most of the children, they are not educated because they're actually out there selling things because they have to take care of the family,
right.
so it's a stigma that just goes around and around and around.
It sounds like a vicious cycle. Are,
Hmm.
what are your opinions about what are they faced with other things? Is there a lot of disease as well that they're facing over there?
Disease, especially because of the clean water situation. It's like if we don't get some boreholes with filters and filtrations and stuff, that's one of the reasons why most of them have typhoid and malaria, you know. and they're in the hospital and young people. And it's like people didn't even realize in Uganda, like 70% of the population is under 30.
Oh,
You
wow.
know, right? Yeah. They don't even make it into like senior citizens or anything else like that because the contaminated, food and water and other issues.
For years I've been every morning I love a bath, a bubble bath,
Hmm.
and that's how I start my day with gratitude for the water and praying for water for everyone that's clean or to drink it, but to bathe in and to use for whatever they need. I don't even know how a mother can have a home or take care of a child without water.
Hmm.
I have such a heart for them, and I'm so thankful for water and wish it for everyone in the world. That's my number one thing every morning. And I am praying
Love
for
it.
that. I've done
I'm
it
like,
for years.
I've been sitting here saying it's like that's been my thing about water and meditation and manifestation. It's like I've been drawn to the water so much. And that's something that so that this logo up here, which says Divine Mother's Love, that's what I've been doing with indigenous women from around the world and how they've been embracing the mother spirit. So I said, all right, let us come together. So they teach me things about like manifestation and water and crystals. And then so I have a huge thing about water, and that's also part of my rituals. It's part of healing, you know. So the baths that you do, like I do these they're like baking soda and Epsom salt and magnesium salts, they're like detox baths. So I
Oh,
do them as much as possible. Yeah, 2 cups of baking soda and 2 cups of Epsom salt. And then you can also use some essential oils in there, but they also detox, balance hormones, and kill cancer cells and fix your liver and your kidneys. Yeah, it's very healthy for you.
I'll have to check it out because I haven't done anything like adding things like that to the bath water. But I do
Mhm.
have a couple of little spots that, well, maybe it's a good idea if I do some things like that. Yeah, I skin just little rough patches or whatever, but
Yep.
I'm keeping an eye on them just in case. So, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
But
But
I had no idea. I was like, what? Detox baths? I was like, I'm having a lot more of them now. Hmm. It's
Well,
so
I'm
healthy for you. Yeah.
out for sure. Well, I wanted to ask, okay, so about your music, for those that don't know what your music background is, how did you learn? What instruments do you play? It sounds, I mean, I'm a big fan of especially the words for Christ, of Words of Christ. I
Hmm.
love the accompaniment that you did to that. It still brings me to tears when I hear it, and I listen to it pretty often, honestly. But how did first of all, how did you learn to play? Did you go to school for it? And how did you actually compose the music for the words, just for the words of Christ? Let's talk about that one. How
That one, so I didn't go to school for music. I studied um I took piano for about probably about a year. And it was my father had gotten an organ for the family, and it was really for Christmas, and I wanted toys. We all wanted toys, but the family voted on an organ, so I was like, all right, that became my new toy because they all got tired of playing it. So I just played the organ all the time. So I just started making up songs from back then, from when I was a kid. So I've always just kind of made up my own music, and and that's what I did for the Words of Christ. Pato would just sit there and say, all right, we're going to record some stuff. And he would just record me, and then he would put them to the words for the Words of Christ. And, um, and we actually recorded it on the road, so that was very interesting. He would just kind of like just get a nice setting, and then I would just like I guess that's my form of channeling. Even though I'm not into channeling, but it's like that's my way of like I think I'm channeling whatever or something, but I always just kind of something just kind of comes up into my head or whatever, and I just start writing the music, and that's what I did for the documentary as well. And I did that, and won the best music score and for that documentary for the music because I played all the way from beginning to the end. And then what I did was I did it in 432 hertz. I changed the frequency,
how
you
do you
know.
do that?
Yeah, well, yeah, apparently yeah, you can do it like through the computer or on the recording. And if you know about the sound bowls, those are also in different frequencies. And so it's like since it's such a spiritual thing, I was like I really wanted to like get through, the pineal gland and into the heart and stuff. That's the reason why I did in 432. So now all the music that I'm recording now is also going to be in 432 hertz.
Okay, so
You
that's
know.
supposed to be a spiritual frequency.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Connection. Yeah. It's actually a grounding. It's like it's a heart frequency. It's also a grounding frequency, and it's like they say it's the one that opens you up into the universe. So that way your pineal gland isn't being blocked, and you can just get like clear connection.
What
You
is the
know.
science behind that? I mean, do you know how it works or why it works?
I just know that like that because I was using it as far as the healing. That's what I learned about the meditations and stuff. So each one has a certain frequency. Like there is a scientific frequency to it. So they said that everything is measured by sound, and they also talk about the quantum field that's measured by science. So each one has a certain thing that either connects you to one thing or to another thing. And so like our chakras like is connected to a certain frequency. Any kind of issue that's off balance, that's why they say like the right frequency is also that they use for healing, and everything else is different for healings. And like if you tune into the right frequency, it will sit there and put the things right back into balance. So I'm still learning more about it, but that's a little bit that I'm learning and that I'm learning about. It's like it's unbelievable what frequency can actually do on any level of anything.
Well,
Clarity, healing, it doesn't matter what it is. It's like frequency is for everything.
it reminded me when you were talking about it said music is the universal language and harmony is,
Hmm.
I don't know, I forget the exact words in the Ranch book about it, but it almost seems as though we're just beginning to understand that this is connected to, it is universal. It is something that that
Yes.
spirit
Mm-hmm.
connects us to everyone else too, and to God. I don't know. I've heard a few of the videos that you can see on YouTube with the certain hertz, and they
Mm.
are calming,
Oh
and
yeah.
I let them play when I'm like working or whatever, and
There's a
it's like my
reason for
spirit.
it. There's millions. If you look at how many millions of people are listening to them, if they weren't working, millions would not be listening to them. So
Yeah.
I listen to them all the time. I've got them running in the house. I've got like a playlist of them. I'm doing 963, 1111, 732. It's like it doesn't even matter. It's like I just turn them on and it's like, they're working and like there's ones that kill parasites. There's different frequencies for all sorts of stuff. If you just need like some calmness in the house, like just run them. It's like, they use them for healing children or other stuff. So, as the science is coming out more and more and the technology, you're gonna find it's gonna come out a lot more spirituality, science, and frequencies. You
Healthy.
know. Mm-hmm.
That is one thing. They did a scientific symposium at up at the foundation one time, and one of the special topics was about the healing qualities of music and positive vibes, basically how it affects water. And
Mm-hmm.
we're made up of so much water. It
Yep.
really did make perfect sense that that type of thing would encourage health, because it said it replicated the water cells
Mm-hmm.
perfectly when it was surrounded by the positive vibes and the positive music. But when there was anger or something negative around, the water cells didn't replicate perfectly anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They
That's
were out of shape and they didn't function well. So it
yeah.
makes perfect sense that a lot of the stress and stuff that we are basically submerged in every day
Mm-hmm.
would affect health as well, because we're made up of water.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Absolutely.
your healing
And
process of listening to that music, it looks like it's working. That's all I can say.
I love it. I'm telling you, all those playlists, they work. And we met Dr. Emoto's son in Japan last year. So they've been measuring this stuff, and it's like, it's true. And those Japanese people, they're all into this meditation and prayer stuff a lot.
Yeah.
Like thousands of them get together all the time, and they pray on the mountain and they meditate on the mountain. So
Well,
your whole thing about the water and the gratitude, it's huge. I mean, someone else was telling me a lot about it as well too. They're like, give to the water spirits, give the gratitude, and it's just like,
yeah.
you know, it's amazing and it's healing, you know.
Well, that's the one thing I want everyone to have love and comfort and safety and everything, but you got to begin with God in the water. It just feels like those are the important things for us to even make it through the day.
Hmm.
All right, so okay, I wanted to ask you about your family. I have never asked you if you've got children. Tell me about your history, your family.
Oh, my daughter is now, um, wow, she's gonna be turning 31 in next week, actually. Yeah. She's 30 right now. So her birthday is next week. I just have one child and
What's her name?
Makeda.
That's pretty. Okay.
Yeah, and that one I named her after the Queen of Sheba.
Oh,
So when I was when I had her, I was like looking for name and I just couldn't figure out. It's like, well, I didn't want to just name her like Barbie or Jackie or whatever. It's like I wanted a name that was gonna have like a lot of meaning. So I just studied all these books and all these different names, and then I came across that one. And Makeda was the Queen of Sheba and Solomon and Sheba, and it had such a beautiful spiritual story, out of Ethiopia. That's why I decided to name her that one.
that's pretty.
So she was a spiritual queen, and she was a military queen, and she was a queendom of her people, you know, that did a lot for them, and brought the one God philosophy and theology, to Ethiopia.
That's awesome. Where does
Hmm.
she live near you in California?
No, she lives in Florida.
She
Hmm.
does. Oh,
Yeah.
how
Uh-huh.
did you ever let her get out of the state?
She well, it, she She was for a while when after I moved from New York and I moved to California, and then I couldn't take care of her, so she I had to like let her my cousin raise her.
Okay.
So my cousin raised her in Cincinnati, Ohio for many years until she went back down to Florida with her dad.
Okay. Gotcha.
Mm.
But do you get a chance to visit with her? I mean, do you get a chance to, does she come out and visit, or do you go there to Florida?
Sometimes, and I try to visit her, so I see her like when we're touring in Florida. So I'm gonna see her when next week too when I go after her birthday.
Well, enjoy your visit. That was one of my next questions. Is I figured you had maybe kids, but I didn't know. But how do you juggle being a performer? And so now I see that it wouldn't have been easy to do both.
No, it wasn't easy. I mean, but she was on the road with me a lot as well too when she was young, so it's like I toured up until my ninth month being pregnant. So I was on the road with a bunch of guys as a touring musician.
So for a
And
young
then, yeah, and then
guy.
so she's been on the road with me a lot. And then um, I kept going back to regular 9 to 5 jobs, but they never lasted. So I ended up back in music all the time. So music was just gonna be like my career eventually and stuff. But later, and then but she was able to, so she finished school, she graduated, she even went to college and everything else like that, got her degree. So she's an interior designer now, an architect. Hmm.
Great. Well,
Yeah, and now I'm bringing her into the
cousin.
boot stuff with me now with
Oh,
Africa, so that way she can get connected with her roots. We went to Taiwan earlier this year, and so I want her to see her Asian roots, but also to see the work that I've been doing in Africa. It's like so that way I can get her to help me, do that.
when you said Asian roots, do you mean her father, or do you have some
On
Asian?
my mother's side, yeah, I was born in Taiwan. My mother is Taiwanese.
Oh, how wonderful. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
the
we
ans-
found out. So while we was in Taiwan, we found out we're actually Chinese because they came from China 300 years ago to Taiwan.
okay. We were
Mhm.
just reading about the Andite expansion into, the Orient, this morning. So that's really interesting. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm all about the ancestry thing anyway. I just
Yeah.
love it. But okay, so how do you feel about the coming from one family though? We just read recently about they were kind of pleased with how well we've been doing with brotherhood, even
Mhm.
though we haven't had, all of the amalgamation. I think it's because we come from one family in the first place. Don't you?
Mhm.
Like the Sangik?
Yep.
I mean, do you think we must know it inherently or something? I know that we have our problems, but I really believe that we're going to figure that out. I
We
think.
will. I mean, Pato says it all the time. It's like mankind is in its infancy, and I keep saying it's like when we're looking at all this, all the worlds that we got to go to, it's like we have got to learn how to get along together. I keep telling everybody else, and I'm like, I've seen so much division and so much hatred. I mean, people are so pissed. I'm like, what good is this gonna do for any of us? I mean, literally, you cannot get rid of an entire group of people. This is not going to happen. And in as much as you keep trying, it's just gonna make them more pissed, and then they're just gonna come back and just gonna try and do the same thing to you over and over and over and over again. At some point, we've got to learn how to live together. We've got to learn how to live together. And as much as people piss me off, I'm like, we've got to learn how to live together. We're gonna be stuck on this planet. And if we're not stuck on this planet when we go to the mansion worlds, we're gonna be in that mansion world number one figuring it out then. So
Mhm.
I'd rather get as much of it out the way now because I don't want to be in 1,000 years of Mansion World number one, like trying to get along with people that I can't stand. So, like, really,
Well,
isn't that gonna be fun?
you're in California, so you probably get more of a chance to meet people that have come that you would term illegal immigrants. What is their problem with the immigration system, would you say? Have you heard? Is it that difficult? Does it take that long? Where could that be improved to really get this whole problem solved? Would you, what would,
This is so sad because it's like, I mean, out here, I mean, especially in California, like, I don't know how anybody could survive without immigrants. Because number one, they're the ones who's doing the food thing, and it's like I'm so afraid of how much the food is gonna cost because I've had to like just to clean up my diet, I've had to go organic and to really eat like healthy food instead of all the box processed food that I used to eat all the time. It's like I like organic fruits and vegetables is the biggest thing that I need to eat every day. And the organic ones is so expensive already. And now it's going to get even more expensive, more expensive. If it's not expensive now, it's going to be more and more and more expensive because they're the only ones who's doing it. And if they're not doing it, I think a lot of these farms are going to go out of business. And the imported food, now that he put the taxes and the tariffs on them, is that's even going to be more expensive too, because where we get it, it's like if we're not getting it locally, from the local farmers market, it's expensive. And then if they're shipping it from Mexico into here, it's even more expensive.
right?
It's going to get more and more expensive. I don't know how to do this. I'm like, they need them because they're doing all the work that nobody else wants to do, and they're not paying anybody any decent wages anywhere. That's the sad thing. Hmm.
I'm wondering, not saying that we don't need them, but I'm wondering if this is kind of a lesson for us, like the African people are needing to learn, for us to get back to planting a little bit of our own food too. And like the old days when people had gardens and did.
That is one thing that I'm stressing everywhere else is like plant a garden. I'm hosting these events. I'm like, plant a garden. It's like, I'll get you guys some trees. Everybody just start learning how to grow some food, because that's really important. And on top of that, too, because of my health, it's like even if they say organic or not organic or whatever, you can't trust them.
Mhm, right,
It's like they were saying organic when it wasn't really organic or whatever. Or a lot of the disease food was because we found out that even the organic food was tainted because they weren't letting the migrant workers, go to the restroom or whatever. So they were just using the restroom out in the field, and that's what tainted a lot of the food. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's what,
yeah, this
why
is,
they had a recall on a lot of this stuff. So I think, we should get back into growing just some type of food, lettuce, tomatoes, peppers, just some things, and plus it's enjoyable, if you can find the time, but
right,
like connecting with the ground and growing a little bit of food is like that's for me is like part of like the wellness for me. It's also Ubuntu. It's also, it's educating, but it's also for our own health and wellness. You know,
right.
this stuff is dangerous out there. Hmm.
There's so much going on, especially with the chemicals and all of that. But also with the conditions of the people that work with the food. I'm I'm convinced that we should be having our own food, not imported food anyway, but I mean, obviously you're going to get some things, but during season times, but in California, you've got a growing season so much of the year that your food shouldn't be that expensive. You would
It's
think
very
that your
expensive.
organic food would be the
Hmm.
cheapest. Like I'm
That's true. The organic, it's like, to me, it's expensive, but it's just because California is expensive. You
okay.
know,
So
that's,
you have a
mhm.
higher kind of cost of living out there in the first place.
Exactly. So that's the reason why they raise the prices even higher. So even though we have a lot more growing and it'll be expensive out there, but I found food is much cheaper out there in the Midwest and other places than it is here, but
We can get some organic stuff here, but it's probably not knowing if you can even trust what we get here to be
mm,
organic.
We
without.
definitely have a variety out here though, but a lot of the foods, they are coming from overseas, and I like foreign foods,
Yeah.
that's my problem. You
Well,
know, the tropical fruits and vegetables and everything
yeah.
is like,
Right.
the Chinese and stuff like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's where I go, and they're usually cheaper over there in the Asian grocery stores,
Mhm.
than the regular ones, which I don't know why. It's like that makes no sense.
Well,
But
I know since you moved, I got some hint that something was going on with your property. That are you building something like tell me about what's going on that you're doing with your properties.
all right, so Edentia, we have 31 acres of land there, and but we're waiting on the road to be built. So
Okay,
once the road is built to get us down in there, then we start to work on the other part, which is building the eco village and spiritual retreat center.
that
You
sounds
know,
awesome.
food. Oh, definitely. We're gonna be having community gardens, growing food, because and medicines, because a lot of herbs and things.
Right.
I think we should grow hemp. I think, that's also the future, for sustainability, is going to be a lot of eco villages and a lot of shared information, resources, and knowledge and things like that.
Okay. So you're waiting for a road. I'm
Mhm.
not sure what's involved in building your road, but that's
It'll be millions of dollars. That's why they're the ones who have to build it. We don't have that. So
yeah,
I'm gonna have to do some fundraising or some grant writing or something like that.
yeah. That sounds like it. Okay, so that's your home projects. All right,
Mhm.
so I wanted to ask you about when you're performing. Now you always have these like great costumes that you're doing.
Mhm.
Who does your costumes and where do they come from? And I want to know all about that.
Well,
How,
I get those from um probably like Shine or Amazon or festivals or I just wherever I just see something, I just dress it up or something else like that. And then the African clothing, of course, which I love African clothing or some stuff I had made, which was also part of the Ubuntu project or Root Collective, which I have stuff that's made and we can custom make or I'll do online, like I'm working on an online store with some of the things, like either bags, jewelry, wraps, or clothes or scarves, that will empower women, locally and internationally too.
that they can make that? Okay,
Hmm.
tell me about what's on your what are you wearing on your head? What do
Oh,
we call this?
this is head wrap. These are scarves,
Oh,
so I just wrap these up on my head, you
it's a
know.
regular scarf that you've got wrapped like
Yeah, I just wrap it on my head and just put another scarf on top of it, you know.
pretty. Okay, so you love it because it's cool and you can
Hmm.
put your
Oh
hair
yeah, it's like a crown, and they look good, I don't have to worry about my doing my hair all the time, you
right.
know.
So if
So
you're
my
up
hair is all
early or
silver and gray now, and I'm like, it's in between hair because I cut it short, and it used to be long, so I'm gonna grow it back out long again.
everybody does that cuts their hair, you know that, right? I'm
Yeah, and plus, when I was going through all the menopause and everything else like that, it was like the hot flashes were too hot, so.
yeah, I've been there and done that. Okay.
Mhm.
Anyway, I was curious about, okay, so there is a place you'll have to send the link to
Mhm.
share with the clothing and all of that and the
I will. Hmm.
okay, social media. Where are you posting? I know you're still doing Facebook, but where all do you post and do you have like are you keeping up accounts for yourself for Pato,
Yeah,
for the band?
myself, Pato, and some Urantia stuff, Divine Mother's Love, my Stand Up for Justice, so I've got like 10 or so different sites and pages. Substack is my new way that I'm gonna start posting now. But I just have to find more time on that. But social media is where it's at. We should all be in it. I think that's also going to be the future because they're looking to see, the opinions aren't just the opinions anymore of just like what you see on on the news and TV and stuff, So a lot more people are having podcasts and other things. So other people's opinions are being valued more, so we're going to be like looking after a lot more people as like online influencers or other things like that. So I think everybody should just kind of like get more into it. And I'm going to get into more social media than I've been doing before, a lot more now because I want like Ubuntu as a network, as a movement. I mean, my goal is to get 1 million subscribers on my Substack, so that way it's just like, I'm flooding the market with just like the terminology of Ubuntu.
That's a good idea. There are a few people that I follow on Substack, um, and I think it is the thing of the future for sure. There's a link tree thing too, where you can put all of your different things on. I don't know if you're probably aware of that. You're aware.
Yeah, I've got one. So I've got one link tree and then it takes you into another link tree of the Ubuntu. So all of the stuff that I've got Pato and I doing is like it's several links. So
And
I'll
it's
send you that link tree.
okay. It
Hmm.
takes a lot of time to do all that, though. Do you post the same thing to all of it? I mean, or does it require extra time to do each one? Like,
Yeah. So
separately?
what I have to do is I'm gonna have to create a schedule because trying to stay on top of everything and I'm behind on my Substack. So I'm gonna have to create a schedule and then I've been trying to build up a marketing team with other people, which I'm like teaching other people, but then they're also helping me at the same time.
That sounds great. That
Mhm.
get some help because that's one of the things I was going to ask you is how do you juggle all this? How do you get the energy,
Girl,
especially?
like there's not enough time in the day.
Yeah, I think we're both jugglers, and you're doing way more than me. So,
Mhm.
anyway, but okay, so scheduling sounds like a great idea, though. Like to say,
Mhm.
hey, it's Tuesday, I do this, and I can't do this every day, kind of thing. All right.
Yeah, and I'm on social media every day, so I need to find a better way of doing it, you know.
Well, the Substack sounds like a good idea, especially as much as you're doing and as many things, causes as you need to get out there. It does
Hmm.
sound like a great idea. Okay, so where else have you been touring besides going to Africa?
So
And
we was in Brazil, and we was in Mexico. So now Mexico is like now part of my thing that I've met up with another woman called Kona de Poa. And she's like leading like all these indigenous tribes in Mexico. So I figured if we work together with Ubuntu, and that's what we did, like a tree planting event, so for sustainability and also encouraging them, growing food and how we're gonna like, make the world a better place, us women coming together and leading the way, leading the charge, so that's gonna be the thing. So Divine Mother's Love, like I said, it's up there.
it really
There
is.
we
It reminds me of water too. Water cells, for some reason, like a crystal of water.
go.
But if that could spread through different countries, that
Hmm.
would be awesome. I mean, and it's needed everywhere. So.
I agree. I
Even in
agree.
this country, there are women that, I mean, I think women are at a disadvantage. Uh,
Hmm.
I just wrote in the other day to, um, I write into the government all the time. I'm involved with that. I see that older women, they're really suffering from many decades of not having job opportunities like men have had. So it really affects the amount of the Social Security they get when they retire, especially the women that are, like you said, widows or, you
Hmm.
they don't get as much. Or if they haven't worked a regular job, they've been homemakers, they don't
Hmm.
get anything. They don't get much of anything. And
Yeah.
that's not right. It's not fair either that women that stayed home and they were working as mothers and homemakers, working in the schools, volunteering and stuff like that, that they don't get anything. They're not
Hmm.
valued, which really, I know if we're trying to encourage family, that doesn't encourage or incentivize women to stay home and be a good mother for at least as long as the kids are home before they start school. So anyway, I so anyway, I wrote to them and told them there was a flaw in their system, that women were being overlooked. And okay, so I was going to ask you, okay, now I know you were involved in the Unity, um, that Unity, yeah,
Hmm.
I saw something for that come through recently. Are you involved with that this year?
Yeah, well, I don't know if we're doing anything this year. I mean, we've been with them since 2012, so it's kind of like we just kind of run in the same circles with a lot of the same people, you
Mhm.
know. So I'm still there on World Unity Week. I'm wondering if I even have any time, but like they're taking our Ubuntu project and some of the other people are just kind of promoting it onto the Unity Earth networks and stuff. So you'll probably see some of that happening. I
So
need to
it
take a
grows,
look.
and maybe others can help spread the word for you and get the work done like locally, in the States here or what
That would be awesome. Could always use help. I
down.
could always use help. Yeah. Let me look on their website what they've got going on.
It seemed like they had something coming up.
Yeah, World Unity Week and the theme is truth, beauty, and goodness.
Where that came from, right? Okay. Now you mentioned guard.
They're doing some fields of healing in August in Kansas City. Huh.
Okay.
Oh, I see. Oh, well, we will be in Africa then.
So you're planning to go back there each year for,
Yep.
okay, that'll be great. Okay.
Hmm.
When you first mentioned it, you said guard sent you. Is he the one that kind of opened up that knowledge of what was actually going on or needed over there?
Yeah, because he was at the Parliament to World's Religion back in the 80s
Mhm.
or 90s with Nelson Mandela and Desmond Tutu, and they did a workshop on Ubuntu. And then since then he was sitting there saying that he had wish he had done something sooner with that. So now's the time and everything. So.
That's awesome. Okay. So I wanted to ask you now, you know about the Master Seraphim groups. There's some for health. There's some, in the Urantia book, it talks about the 12 groups of angels that work with humanity. Some are health, some are home, some are,
Mhm,
different progress or whatever.
mhm.
Is there any particular angels that you feel like you're relating to or that you're working for?
Yeah, I think the weather angels, I keep saying this all the time. The weather angels have been on Pato on my side for I don't know, for the longest time because so many times when it said it was going to be raining like 100% and it didn't, not during our event. So we never like really got rained out or anything has been prevented or stopped us, but we've always been so close but always came through. So I think the weather angels are working for us.
Somebody's protecting.
And that's probably like one of my new songs about the universe is working for me. So I was sitting there, I'm writing a new song about that too.
That's
So,
awesome.
mm-hmm,
I think the more you put your trust in,
mm-hmm,
realize we have a reason to trust, right? Yeah,
definitely. And that's why I'm like, so the mother spirit thing, I'm going to be working a lot more on that, introducing her to the world, letting the world know that she is here and she's there for everybody and to make her like a lot more popular and more mainstream than she's ever been. So
do you ever talk about, I mean, I don't know what you can share with your audience when you, or with even people that you're meeting. Do you bring in Jesus or bring in Michael as her companion? Do you ever get a chance to talk about that?
yes, I that's what I did when I was in Mexico at the Yucatan, at the Indigenous Summit. So I was there. So that's what I'm doing with the Divine Mother's Love is like I'm just bringing the Urantia teachings to them. So it's not even all just about the Mother Spirit, but just everything. It's like if she's the one who's delivering all the messages anyway through the Spirit of Truth and through her mind, adjutant mind spirits and everything else, then she's delivering the message. She's spreading the more truth.
Right. Well,
That's how I see it. Yeah.
how do they react to that and how do they respond?
They're very open to it, and that's the whole thing because it's like this is not that's why I like working with the indigenous communities more so than trying to go into the churches because they're so fundamentalist and they're so conventional, with like, the church and Christ and this and whereas the indigenous is much more open and they're also into the cosmos, they're into a lot of sacred things and they're into the feminine divine, they're into all of this. So they're just much more open, I'd
Yeah,
rather like share the Urantia teachings with them.
yeah, awesome. Well, I know that there's, I just wondered what your feedback was. Okay, let me see. Oh, any faith experiences that anything special been happening spiritually that you would like to talk about?
Yeah, I would say that since the diagnosis, I think that has been, a blessing instead of a curse. And it's just like really had me, pay more attention to my prayers and my meditation and then learning more about faith and trust because we talk about faith and like believing in the universe and believing that God is goddess and Christ is goddess and everything, but until you really really believe, you have to just put your faith and belief that that's really happening and that it's really true. So I think that's like strengthened my faith and my resolve even more and just made me just like fall into the spirituality like a thousand times more, like this is really like my life's mission, you know is this the ministry, the musical ministry and the ministry and everything that we're doing and the work that we're doing. And so that way thank you. So this is like a kombucha. This is no, it's juice. It's green juice. Oh, nice.
Looks cute.
Mm, yep. But basically, yeah, so so spiritually it's like I think it strengthened my spirituality and my faith even more. And then that's still keeping me around to live and so that way I can continue on. And so I'm just like even more excited more. Like I said, I just get deeper into my meditations, my manifestations, like connecting with the water and just seeing like, what is all this that's like playing out and like that we don't really know. And it's okay like not knowing, but just having the faith that there's so much more and it's so much better and everything else is going to be like all right or better in the future anyway, regardless. So I'm really not worried about anything, even though there's so much drama going on and there's so much negativity going on and so much, there's so much good that's going on as well too, if we just see it, you know.
And you're manifesting it. You-
Yeah,
You're just
that's what I think.
going, like I said, the love is coming through. I can see that
Mm,
you're operating on a different level, a different
mm-hmm.
level than all of that stress. And it's awesome to see you doing so well. Okay, so
Thank
what
you.
is your future goals? What's going on besides your getting your center all finished
All
and your
right.
book built and
All
all
right. Yeah, getting grounded, getting centered. So future goals. So we're doing the Africa. We're doing Ubuntu tours too. Like we're bringing 4 Canadians with us to South Africa. So other tours that people want to come on to Africa with us, they'll be able to start coming with us.
that. Oh, that's awesome.
I'm working on doing a human rights exhibition for Ubuntu. I want to get this done in Taiwan and in Brazil, so I also want to get more with the divine feminine, so I'm trying to get that out. I got turned down from a grant that I applied for before. And so I'm going to reapply again, give them the words that they need to hear. But I'm definitely like, we need to get this mother spirit, like, internationally out there a lot more. And I think I'm the one to do it. So,
Well,
and then,
yeah,
yeah,
you are the one to do it. That
yeah.
it came to you for a reason.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So I'm gonna try again, and then just, just continue to do the work and just like be grateful and be thankful. It's like, even though I don't know, it's like the fact that I'm still here another day and I'm doing well is like, that's just like exciting news enough. So I'm
Well,
excited about that. So yeah.
you have things plenty to do. So nobody's going to let you go anywhere for a while, I don't think. Much left for you to do.
Yep.
Anyway,
New music too. Yeah, I got new music and new albums coming out and everything else. So yeah, there's just a lot of stuff I want to do. And it's like if as long as I'm still here to do it, then I'm gonna be grateful to be able to do it, you know.
if you had a chance to fuse today,
Hmm.
would you fuse or would you stay
Um,
and continue?
that's a good question. Because fusing would be great, but it's like there's some stuff that I just wanted to just like get done on this planet before going, and then go. Even though it's not like I haven't done enough already, it's like literally I've done a lot and I've done enough and everything. But if I can get a little bit more done, I would do that and then go.
It's still needed, isn't it? I feel
Yeah.
the same
Mhm.
way. If I
Yeah.
had the
Because
chance,
look at this place is such a hot mess.
I
And
know.
it's like no, it's like no, there's something that we can do still that can make it not be such a hot mess. It's still going to be a hot mess, but there's still something that we can do still,
We can
to make it a little
contribute.
bit better.
I think we can contribute and make it different, make it better. And as long
Mm-hmm.
as we can, I would stay. I'm
Yep.
with you on that. I was curious what you would say though, because there are people that would say, they'd want to go ahead and go, but
Get off this rock.
rock. We'll get there one of these days anyway, though. But anyway, okay. So, anything else you would like to add? I'm over my hour that I promised you. But if there's anything
Oh,
else special, important that you'd like to share,
not at this time, but I think when I send you the email with like the link tree with all the stuff in there, I'll probably put some stuff in there, you
okay.
know. But I appreciate this so much, We definitely just needed to catch up and stuff.
It was fun. And I want to ask you now. We've been recording, and I wasn't going to use it, but is there anything that if you would mind if I would take screenshots or if I could use a
You
little?
can use whatever you like. I have no problem, yeah, because like I said, this is the time and the age where we got to get things out there. So
Okay.
it's like just put it out there.
I
I got
haven't
nothing
I
to
haven't
hide.
done this before with anyone else. You would be the first, but I think it'd be perfect. I mean, I
Mhm.
think I'd like to make a little clip of you explaining some of this, and maybe it would get you some more help or some assistance.
Awesome. Yep. I'm down for it. Yep.
Well, sweetie, thank you so much. I really
Thank
appreciate you taking
you.
the time. And
Thank
and anytime, just be in touch, and my prayers go with you. I'm so
thank
thrilled to
you.
see you doing so well.
Awesome.
Love you very much.
Love you too, Susan.
All
Give
right.
Rick my love too.
And, and give Pato a hug too, okay? You two take
Too.
good care. Oh, didn't you just have an anniversary?
Yes, we did.
Saw that.
Uh-huh.
And happy anniversary.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Love you and thanks again.
Bye.
Bye-bye.